One of the most viewed type of Islamic content on YouTube are revert stories. I don't think this fact will shock anyone. It's not the videos filled with knowledge by trustworthy scholars. It's not the videos that make us understand our religion better or make us grow closer to Allah in a meaningful way. But rather, it's usually revert stories and drama between du'at. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that revert stories don't serve any type of benefit. Of course they do. And not all of them are problematic, but in this video, I want to focus on the dark side of Muslims obsessing over reverts. First, let's address the question, why are we obsessed with reverts and their journey to Islam? The main reason is because it validates our own belief and feelings of our religion. We want to know the reason someone reverted because there are plenty of reasons to revert. Whether it's because of the Qur'an, the character of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the rational and logical aspects of the religion, the brotherhood, the miracles, and so on. Hearing these stories boosts our iman. It's basically a quick fix or like a drug. It gives you a quick temporary boost of iman, but it doesn't last long. We don't put in the work. We get this spiritual high from hearing a powerful revert story, but then what? Do we implement the lessons? Do we strive to become better Muslims? Or do we just keep consuming story after story, chasing the next emotional high without any real change? Another problem is getting too attached to personalities online and making Islam only an ideal within one's head, rather than practically applying it in one's life. Some people become obsessive. They latch onto a particular revert, follow every update of their life, take their words as if they are scholars and defend them to the death if anyone criticizes them. This is dangerous. Not all reverts should document their story, at least in the beginning. Their intention might be compromised, and their lack of knowledge will cause them to be like wheat getting swayed by the wind. One day they're talking about how much they love Islam, the next day they're questioning core aspects of the religion because they haven't built a strong foundation yet. And what happens? The Muslims who follow them get affected. Their doubts start creeping into the minds of those who were once certain. Unfortunately, most Muslims lack knowledge. So what ends up happening is they start taking the revert and their opinions as a source to be followed. And even if not to that extent, the doubts, questions, or misconceptions the revert has or expresses might creep into the viewers' hearts and minds without them even realizing it. You see, knowledge is a protection. When you don't have it, you're vulnerable to being misled. And reverts, especially new reverts, due to their lack of experience in Islam and their lack of knowledge, can sometimes unintentionally spread misinformation. But because they are reverts, because they come from a background of disbelief and chose Islam, we put them on a pedestal. We act as if everything they say is golden wisdom, when in reality, they're still learning just like the rest of us. And let's not even get started on the non-Muslims who are reacting to Islamic content just to fool Muslims. And the problem? Muslims are buying it. I'm sure you know who they are, so I'm not going to name them. But you guys are part of the problem because supply only meets demand. This is what you all want. And the best part, you're all supporting them monetarily as well. I'm not saying every single one of them is insincere, but so many of them are. And they have been successful with this strategy. They pretend to be interested in Islam. They make reaction videos. They praise certain aspects of the religion. And suddenly, Muslims start showering them with love, attention, and money. And then what? Months or years down the line, they either remain non-Muslim or worse, they start spreading confusion and doubts about Islam while still keeping their Muslims fanbase hooked. Recently, there was a revert who openly rejected Hadith. And the best part, these YouTubers have now amassed tens of thousands of subscribers. Who do you think are the majority of their subscribers? Of course, it's Muslims. Muslims who are now being fed doubts and misguidance by someone they originally followed because of their revert story. This is the consequence of blind obsession. This is what happens when you prioritize emotional highs over actual knowledge. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned us about a time when people would take ignorant individuals as their leaders in matters of religion, and that is exactly what's happening right now. So before we obsess over reverts and their stories, how about we learn the stories of the first reverts, the best generation of this ummah? Do you know the story of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the first free man to accept Islam? The one whom the Prophet ﷺ said, if his iman were placed on one side of the scale and the iman of the entire ummah on the other, his would outweigh it. Do you know the struggles of Bilal radiallahu anhu? How he was tortured in the burning desert for refusing to renounce Islam? How he was whipped, beaten and dragged through the streets but still held onto his faith? What about Khadija radiallahu anha, the first woman to accept Islam? The one who supported the Prophet, peace be upon him, when no one else did. The one whom Allah sent, Jibreel alayhi salam, to give her glad tidings of a house in Jannah. These are the stories we should be obsessed with. These are the people we should be taking as role models. They weren't just people who converted or reverted to Islam. They were people who lived and breathed Islam, who sacrificed everything for it, who laid the foundation of the ummah we belong to today. The reality is that Islam isn't just a religion of emotions. It's a religion of action, of submission, of discipline, of knowledge. If you find yourself constantly needing to watch revert stories to feel something, then maybe it's time to ask yourself, What am I doing to strengthen my iman on a daily basis? Am I seeking knowledge? Am I improving my salah? Am I removing sins from my life? Or am I just chasing emotional highs with no real change? Islam is not about being entertained. It's about being guided, and guidance requires effort and sincerity. So let's shift our focus. Let's prioritize learning over feeling. Let's follow knowledge over personalities. And most importantly, let's make Islam the center of our lives, not just something we watch on a screen for a quick boost of iman before returning to our heedlessness. May Allah guide us all.